Welcome to Total Retail Talks, your podcast channel for retail knowledge.
Hello, and welcome to this episode of Total Retail Talks. I'm Joe Keenan, the editor-in-chief of Total Retail, and I'm pleased to be joined on today's episode by Allison Cullman. Allie is the Senior Vice President of Marketing at Hint, and we're going to be discussing that brand's Water campaign, a little bit about kind of the next phase of growth for Hint, and some of the exciting things that are to come. So, Allie, thank you for joining me on today's show. I'm excited to talk with you.
Thanks, Joe. Likewise. Happy to be here.
So I alluded to the fact you've got this new campaign out, the Water campaign, and it really is kind of a shift in tone and positioning for the Hint brand. Take me back to kind of the origin of this new campaign and then really the decision to move beyond traditional, really health and function marketing into something more kind of an emotional and culturally driven campaign here.
Yep. So I think a lot of attention on the campaign, but we did a lot of work in the past year to really rebuild and reset the strategic foundations of the Hint brand. So for a very long time, Hint was communicating what we're not: 0 calories, 0 sugar, 0 sweeteners, and not doing the strongest job of communicating to the audience what the benefits were functionally and emotionally. So we really dug back in to come up with this creative platform that we called Water for People with Taste Buds. And that's anchoring us again in what we are. We are a simple, pure water that tastes really good, that comes in a wide array and range of flavors. There's not really anything else like it. So we created this new brand strategy, or should I say, just re-anchored in this brand strategy because it's telling the same story that Hint has been trying to tell, just in a slightly different way. Updated our visual identity and created this world and personality that was bold, playful, and indulgent, a universe that really could incite desire. So because this brand is very taste and flavor driven, it gave us more permission to enter into space that was more emotional versus functional. So we started with that brand foundation and then really looked at what's happening with the consumer, what's happening in culture, what's happening in the category, and how can we weave together those different truths to identify a translation of that creative platform that was going to be very relevant right now and meet the moment right now. So a couple of truths that we identified, first being wellness has become a lot of work for people. Between the biohacking and monitoring and protein and all of these functional benefits that are being peddled, a lot of people would rather not try than try and inevitably fail. They're looking for wellness routines and rituals that can actually stick and be enjoyable. If they're not enjoyable, they're not going to stick. At the same time, even though everyone knows and wellness has gotten so big, our brains are wired to chase desire, not discipline. We know we should be good. We know we shouldn't reach for the piece of cake, but we operate on want, not on should. It's why you see treat culture growing so rapidly. It's why you see guilty pleasures being normalized as part of joy, not shame. It's why you see a lot of beverage brands and categories that emphasize taste and the sensory experience growing rapidly. So interestingly, we found Hint kind of weaves together those two things, making hydration something that is typically banal into something that's irresistible because we introduce flavor and taste into the world. So then we saw this last thing that was happening in culture and with the consumer, which is our audience is in a new era of expressing their desires and temptations very openly. So this is, you see, celebrities like Sabrina Carpenter making their sexuality part of their brand. Taylor Swift writing a song called Wood. Heated rivalry off campus. This culture is exploding. And we knew there was an opportunity to weave together the truths I just mentioned to make it very relevant to the moment. So all that to say, we decided to launch this campaign that really subverts expectations about what water can be, transforming it from something rational into something that you can actually desire.
Yeah, it provides a really great context for the audience. And I probably should have done this right at the outset. I'm going on the assumption that most in the audience already know what Hint is, know the brand. Maybe to just take a step back, talk about, the brand and tell us a little bit about your particular connection and role in the brand. I'd like to learn a little bit more about your role as well.
Sure. So Hint has been around for 21 years, which I think when people hear that, they're so surprised by it.
Yeah,
Um,
it does. That is a bit a bit longer than I would have thought.
Yeah. And when Hint launched, it was truly disruptive because there was no other clean water product that tasted good. So identified this white space, really owned this white space. Hint is a unsweetened flavored water product. Ingredients are just water with fruit essence, natural flavor. It is extremely clean. So I think there's a lot of brands that say they are a flavored water or a water-based beverage, and they kind of take the equity away from water and brands like Hint that can actually claim that title. So Hint's been around for 21 years, the number one unsweetened still flavored water brand, available nationally and online, D2C, drinkhint.com, Amazon, Walmart.com, really all nationwide retailers.
And I mentioned you're senior vice president of marketing. Tell me a little bit about your history with the brand.
Yep. So I joined the Hint brand a little over a year ago, which feels crazy. What a year it's been. And prior to joining Hint, I spent my career in food and beverage at the likes of Vita Coco, Anheuser-Busch, and also at a wedding tech company called Zola. So really kind of experience within food and beverage and also technology. And I joined in the remit of SVP of marketing, so overseeing the entire marketing organization with the goal of really transforming this brand and getting back to what made people love Hint so much in the first place and communicating that more broadly because Hint has a very loyal cohort of consumers who love this brand. They are diehard. They drink so much Hint. It amazed me when I first started working here, and I would tell, a neighbor or a distant relative or someone I hadn't talked to in a long time that I was working for Hint, and the reaction consistently was, "Oh my god, I love that brand. I love Hint. I drink so much Hint. I just haven't seen it recently." And that's what we hear consistently is people love this brand. They just haven't really seen it or had a reason to consider it.
Yeah. And this new campaign will help kind of generate that public awareness and exposure. And as you talked about the Water campaign, one of the things that kind of struck me was that you've kind of leaned into sort of this humor and personality and even a bit of irreverence with this latest campaign. Talk a little bit about it as you factor those elements in and balancing that brand playfulness, but also you want to maintain the credibility and authenticity that you've developed over the course of 20 plus years now.
Yep. Yeah, I think it was very important for us that we were not over promising or claiming to be something that we're not. That's why we really wanted to start from that strategic foundation of who we are, and what the benefit we deliver to the consumer is. And that is hydration that tastes really good. So I think from a consumer perspective, we knew that we couldn't be wallpaper. There's so much competition, there's so much noise, there's so much fighting for attention. And so we needed to bring that brand promise to life in a way that was unexpected, memorable, provocative. And our new brand strategy and personality allowed us to do that.
As you've noted, the hydration category has really seen explosive growth, particularly over the last decade. Given that competitive landscape in which Hint is part of, tell me a little bit, in your opinion, what it takes for a beverage brand to truly stand out. There's so much out there in the market, and this category is really taken off. But as success, it's going to draw more competition in, right? So you have
Yeah.
to differentiate. Tell us a little bit about your thought process there.
Yeah, I think it is important to think about and reflect on what has changed since Hint launched 21 years ago. So, when the brand first debuted, drinking water wasn't really on anyone's radar. Drinking water wasn't framed as a wellness ritual. It was viewed as boring, it was banal, it was rational. Even when I worked at Vita Coco years ago, I remember like functional and hydration were almost dirty words because they were unsexy. Hydration and water wasn't promoted by the media or pop culture, and nutrition education really centered on what you were eating, not what you were drinking, and not educating on the benefits holistically, cognitively, physically of drinking water. So fast forward to today, and hydration is a cultural movement. I feel like we're all obsessed with hydration. It's cemented as a daily wellness ritual. It's part of influencer culture. Everyone has a Stanley bottle or an Awala bottle. That has become a badge symbol. It's part of skincare culture. performance culture. It's seen as a countermeasure to indulgence, a preventative health measure. The list goes on and on. So I think consumer and culture has finally woken up to the importance of drinking water, and brands are trying to capitalize on this across industries. So also 20 plus years ago, the beverage category had massive gaps. There were minimal hydration options, there was a lack of function, limited flavors, minimal occasions, or emotional need states. And now there's a beverage for literally everything. So all of these like micro functions, personalization, maximum benefits, it's gotten very overwhelming. And I think in the presence of overwhelming, what really connects is, am I solving a clear consumer need for someone who shares a set of behaviors, mindsets, and rituals? And so that's what we're focused on. So identifying there is a need from the consumer for a hydration habit ritual that can actually stick, something that is simple. And we feel like we're targeting a consumer we call the wellness curious, who share that behavior, mindset, and rituals, and really focusing hard on that.
Yeah, to your point, I'm thinking about like our own lives now. It's like walking out the door. It's you got your keys, your phone, and then usually your water bottle, right? It's just how people are operating now.
It cracks me up. I have 2 young kids, and you go to the playground, the moms and dads are chasing their kids with their water bottles. And my mom always tells me, she's like, I don't think you drank a lick of water when you were a kid. Like you were drinking straight
Yeah.
juice, you know? So it's just it has really become part of our culture. Um, and that's an opportunity for us. But
Yeah.
because there is so much noise and competition, we need to be hyper focused on what makes us different and unique, and how do we make sure we can exploit that to as many people as possible.
That's actually a nice segue. You talk about opportunity and Hint's really expanding. It's growing into new formats, new retail environments, thinking about different consumption occasions. So as you think about kind of the expansion of the brand into this kind of omni-channel model, what are your thoughts on meeting consumers, wherever they may potentially be encountering Hint? How do you kind of keep that consistent messaging and keep consistent brand vision across all these different channels?
Yep. So I think we talked about the emotional availability and wanting people who are in need of a simple hydration ritual to think about Hint. When they reach for something or want something that tastes good but makes them feel good, they reach for Hint. But they can only do that if they can find us, right? And someone who is shopping in a convenience store is on a different mission and in a different need state than someone who is stocking up at a grocery store, someone who might be shopping online, someone who might be shopping in club. So we're doing a lot of work to really understand and start with, this is the consumer. These are the different mindsets and need states that they have for a product like Hint. This is where they're shopping, and this is what they want when they're shopping there. So, for example, we have a lot of large format and grocery business. That's not really a trial channel in the package that we have, because we have multi-packs. So we need to have an option for someone who's in a convenience store, who's in a deli or a bodega or, a quick serve restaurant, where they can have this tasty hydration on the go. So the 19.2 ounce can is our foray into that. And it is such a beautiful package. I have one right here. I'll do a little show and tell. And it drinks so well. Like, it just tastes so delicious and cold, and is really chuggable. So we're excited about that format for small format and convenience, and exploring a lot of other options, again, to help us meet the need of consumer in the right channel.
How do you think about we've talked about building community and cultural relevance and the importance of that in branding nowadays. Um, at Hint, what are your thoughts on creating a brand that consumers want to identify with emotionally, right? This connection with the brand, and
Yeah.
rather than simply thinking about it transactionally.
Yeah, it's a great question. I think today more than ever, consumers are looking and turning to brands to help them navigate, enjoy, and make the most of life. That goes from functional things and ingredients that make me feel good to more emotional, badge identity driven things that make me look good, right? So I think more than ever, people see a brand, and in many ways, a beverage brand, as a reflection of their lifestyle, their personality, who they are, their identity. So what we want to do is really connect with that consumer and make them proud of what holding a hint stands for, if that makes sense. So if I'm holding a hint, it means that I prioritize my well-being, that I don't take myself too seriously, and that I, am part of this culture where I want to feel well, but I don't want to work that hard to do so. And so I think it's all about identifying those people, finding those communities, and showing up for them.
What about in terms of growth opportunities? Where do you see the biggest channels for Hint? Where are you positioning the brand in terms of that next phase of growth that you might not have fully penetrated yet, but there's an opportunity going forward?
Yeah, I think there is a massive runway for growth from a physical availability standpoint. I think there are many channels of retail still that we don't have the strongest presence in, and it is majority discovery channels, and that's really important for this brand. But even taking a step back, I think the biggest opportunity is household penetration. We
Mhm.
have a cohort of people who love Hint and drink so much Hint, and they continue to drink more and more of it as we launch new products. But we need to expand that pool and make sure that we're reaching people who are going to drive the next wave of growth for the brand. So I think it's equal parts. We need to show up in the right places so people can discover us with the right product in the right product format. And we also need to be present and salient and meaningful to this next generation of drinkers who are ultimately going to drive our growth.
Is that next generation of drinkers the Hint customer? Are you kind of thinking, is that the younger consumer? Is that the Gen Z and millennial? And kind of, because you talked about that household penetration, maybe it's mom and dad are drinking Hint and now
Yeah,
getting kind of kids into the mix as well.
that's exactly it. And so I think where we want to shift from is mom and dad are drinking it and maybe exposing their family to it, to younger person wants it and says, add that to the list, and picks it up when they're at the deli, or orders it online for themselves from Amazon.
Well, I think I've learned a lot. I've really had the pleasure of getting to know more about Hint, kind of its next phase of growth. Talking to Allie Cullman. Allie is, again, the Senior Vice President of Marketing at Hint. Thanks for your time today, Allie. This has been great.
Thank you so much, Joe. I'll end on this. So this is May. We just launched the campaign. There are a couple of other fun activations that we have in the hopper, and I think they're guaranteed to get your attention and make you think about Hint a little differently. And ultimately, that's what we're trying to do.
Well, I love the little tease at the end. So something to look forward to in the coming months from Hint as we move, especially into the deeper part of the summer where hydration is even more critical probably than ever. So, Allie, thank you. This has been great. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Joe.
Thanks for listening. For more information on this podcast, please go to mytotalretail.com/podcast for show notes. Total Retail Talks is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, SiriusXM's Pandora, YouTube, and YouTube Music. If you've enjoyed this episode, please take a few moments to rate, review, and subscribe. Thanks, and until next time, this has been Total Retail Talks.